Welcome to the EZCODE Projects Series toaster video number 6. In this video, we'll continue our toaster duplication software so that it can process an array of orders. If you have not done so already, please complete the previous EZCODE Projects toaster series videos. For those of you that have done so, let's continue. Remember that all you have to do is type as I do. Just pause the video or slow down the speed when needed to catch up. Understanding comes later. Let's begin. In the last video, we completed the build code so that we no longer need an actual toaster in the view HTML. So let's open up our VS Code and open up our project. I open the Explorer, open folder. All right, there's my project's EZCODE toaster. Actually, back it up, toaster. That's the one we want. Okay, so we have that open. We can see code.js style toaster view. All our files are here, all our little friends. I'm going to close that Explorer window off for a minute just to give you a better visual. And right now I have my files open at the top. The one you need to open right now is the view HTML. Okay, here we go. And let's delete the toaster from here. So we're going to go in here and we're going to say, let's find the toaster. So if we click here, it's a little bit off. You can see that tab is a little bit off, but the bottom is right here. It's highlighted it for us right there. So what I like to do is I know where the top is. I can start down here and it's on line 14. So I can just drag here and we can go up to the toaster. So I have that all highlighted. You can see we have it all highlighted and it's the toaster, the body. Remember doing the body on that one. We had the front face and then we did add an event listener right here. So this is all working. So we're going to go ahead and just delete that and I'm going to get rid of some space here and a little bit more, and I'm just going to get rid of everything goes here because we don't need that as well. And then I'm going to correct my spacing a little bit right there. Okay, so we have our body tags, we have our script tags, and if you'd like, you can even put a little space here just to see things quickly on what we're looking at. So we have our view container, our toasters, and our toasted, and everything we're making inside of these two things we're building with JavaScript. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this file. So Command S or Control S. And now open the code.js file and the toaster.js file side by side in VS Code. So I'm going to close out the view HTML because I don't want to look at that right now, or the CSS. And I have both already open, code and toaster. And all we have to do is I'll put the toaster on the right side. So I just have the tab selected and I can select VS Code right here. This little split editor right icon, and when I click that, it duplicates the file, which is fine. I'm just going to close the toaster on the left, and now I have the code.js and the toaster.js. And on my screen, it's a bit small, but we'll make do. I'm going to shrink out a little bit. Okay, so now we'll start moving over the logic in the code.js into the toaster.js file so that each toaster class can work independently from each other. So let's start with the setHeat method since it's so small. Okay, so let's just find the setHeat in the code.js on the left if that's where your code.js file is. I'm just scrolling down. And here we can see there's the setHeat. And all I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut it. So on my laptop, I can use cut. However you need to do that, copy, paste, and then delete. We're gonna get rid of it on the left, and we're gonna put it on the right. So the build here, let's see, where are we gonna put it? So we have a lot of things going on up here. I'm gonna keep putting it below. So I have toast. I'm just gonna make another line here, and I'm going to paste it in there, and notice what happens already. We get our error with the function. Let's check out what that error is. Unexpected token, a constructor, method, assessor, or property was expected. And that's because here we don't have to put the function name, and we're not allowed to. So we're inside the class. It already knows it's a function. It's a method part of the class, set heat. And what else are we looking here? Let's look at the method itself. We pass in a value, array from heaters. So I can already tell you right now, heaters is not going to work here because it's part of this. So if you remember, we attached this heaters right here. So now we have to say this heaters. So let's go ahead and fix that on our set heat. And it's just a simple this dot. And then scroll over. Now heater is whatever is passed in from the for each. So that's okay. That's an individual heater that's part of this array. So we're not talking about this heater. So we're saying heater, heater style, opacity, value, and values passed in right here at the top. So that's okay. That's all we have to do for this method. So the next thing we need to do is, let's see, we need to move over, or we already have the toast here, but if we go to the left side and instead of toast, if you remember, it was toggle, but we changed it to toast over here. So now we have to say this same thing here, but if you remember, our setting is this setting here. So we're just, and process, we have that method over here too, right? Here's the process method. But we don't have the process method yet. So we're going to have to move that one as well. Okay, so let's just go piece by piece here. So down here, we're going to do we're just going to open up, I'm going to get rid of toast, and this is now going to be this process, and it's going to be an array. We're passing in the array. If you remember what we're doing over here, but we're not going to use setting on the left and then semicolon. So just make sure you have this process with array brackets, this setting. Okay, so let's look at what else we got to do here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the toggle on the left, get rid of the spaces, and we also don't need this anymore because EZCODE module's not going to work for us over there. We have toast over here, and notice here I had to return an object with toggle. Here in a class we don't have to return anything because the class itself is what's returned. Okay, so now let's move the toasted method over. So we have toasted, let's see. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to say, okay, toasted, what do we got here? We have output document get element by ID. So this is going to work in either file. And then we're just making a div and we're setting the background and we're appending to the output that we had here. And it's toast. So everything's self-confined here. I'm just going to get rid of a couple lines there. So all we have to do is let's take this entire function, so the toasted function, and let's get rid of our lines on this side, and we're going to come down here and say, let's put it right after toast. So we have toast and then we have toasted. And the only thing we have to change here is get rid of the function. And then we have intensity passed in. Everything looks good there. So let's scroll back up here and we have toasted. Now we just have to move the process method and move that over. So let's go. This is going to be a bigger one. So let's go look and see what the process is. So here we go. Here's the process. It's grayed out because it's no longer called in this file. That's fine. So I'm going to start here and scroll down to the bottom. So line 39 is where that started. And I'm just going to scroll up and we're going to cut this out too. So we're just doing a copy paste. I'm going to come over here and the process is a pretty main method that I'm going to put way up here. because I need to look. I don't mind putting functions near the bottom that they're not main functions. I want to see the main functions right under the constructor for myself, but wherever you want to put them is fine. And just put a space in between the connected callback, blank space there, and then we already have an error we can see on the async. So let's see what else we got to do here. Okay, looking through this here, let's just look at the error and see what it's saying. What's it saying there? Property was expected. Oh, right, and that's because we don't need the function. So there's our process. That's the first thing we're gonna select. I'm gonna open this up a little bit, okay? Because we're not really copy pasting anymore. In fact, well, we'll just keep it open for now because we're still gonna use the other file. So we have process, we've come down here. Now let's look at the next few lines and see if we have to fix anything. List is passed in, so we don't have to adjust anything there. New promise, resolve, nothing there. Start timer. Okay, so while we're at it here too, let's see. We have our start timer, we have our order list, order value. This is all right. This, however, is going to be moved. So this is going to become, if it hasn't already, it has not. So this is going to become this dot heater base. So it's going to be part of this class. So we can have a different heater base per heater if we wanted to. And remember, setting is now this setting. So you want to make sure you get all of these correct here. This setting value, and remember this lever. We want to be very specific. This lever of this toaster. And just as we scroll down here, timer, set heat. Let's see, change. Okay, so now our method now is this set heat. Remember, we moved the method here. So I moved these up earlier. So let's, this set heat. So we have this setting value, this lever, this set heat, and then down again, this set heat. You can see how this goes. It's this dot lever, again, piece by piece. We're moving down. And then remember, we moved over toasted, so this is going to be this toasted. We're not going to do this clear timeout because this is a JavaScript method. So that's just there, and so is the resolve. So we don't have anything this or this here. And then we have our timer and intensity. And then let's see, what do we got? We have intensity here. I'm just going to break this out. I'm going to make a little bit of line here because I just want to look at this and isolate it a little bit more. And I can already notice, let's see, I'm going to do this here and move this over. I'm just aligning things up. Now this whole line goes all the way down here to the bottom, exactly where I wanted it. And there's one more thing we're going to do while we're in here. And I've noticed that our start timer is grayed out, and that's because we have not added another piece in here that we should add now. So again, this is like, you can move this around wherever you want inside of here. It doesn't matter. It's not a timing issue. It's going to run through this entire line. And so the same thing with the start timer here. We need this to end when this one's ending. So we're going to set the timeout. We're going to order intensity, set value, lever, set heat, and then we're going to clear this timeout. So put another clear timeout in there, and in this one we're going to put the start timer. And remember what those are doing. It's just clearing out the timer in case we hit some button or process again that kicks this off again. So we always want to clear this out once it's run, and then this is the ending timer. Okay, now make sure that you've made that change, and we're going to put a semicolon right here. So I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. There's a lot of work going on here. So the async, we got rid of the function. We left the async process. no change all the way down to this whole block. We changed it to this setting, this lever, this set heat, and then we added the clear timeout start timer. And then inside of here, we changed these three to this heat, this lever, this toasted, because we're just trying to connect it to our class. And we just added a space here. Okay, so now we need to add a few more things. So don't forget that we added the heater base time. So if I scroll up, we're going to add, if you remember that one here, and go ahead, you can just copy paste this if you want. We're going to go up to the constructor because that's when we want to add this, and we're going to say this heater base time is equal to 1000. So now it's part of the class. And let's see, let's go ahead and do a save on this file. I'm just going to move it over a little bit, and we're going to start cleaning up what we have here. So let's go to the top. You can see all these kind of grayed out things. We know we don't need heater base time anymore, so let's get rid of that one. We know we don't need the lever, setting, or heaters anymore because we're doing that in the class. Okay, we don't need process orders anymore, so let's get rid of that one. And then let's see. Let's do one more thing while we're at it because we're not really, well, we'll leave those here for now. Let's see, toasters, toast, yep. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this one. We're going to save this file, so make sure both files are saved. I'm just going to drag this back over here because we no longer need a split view. And let's save our changes and load the view HTML. So I got everything saved. I'm going to scroll over here. I'm going to open up my browser, and we're going to load the view HTML. So open file. This is the wrong, let's see, EZCODE, toaster, source, view HTML. And here we go. We have our toasters, although we haven't loaded them yet. So I'm just going to open up the elements. I'm going to open up the console here. And let's just hit that again. Let's see. And it was good. So cannot read properties of undefined reading value. So let's note that error. What does that mean? Cannot read properties of undefined reading value. So we can see already, let's see that there are 5 errors, one for each toaster instance. So you can see here 5 times, and we can see the error there for each instance. Let's click one of the toasters. Okay, that's what it meant here. Okay, so the toaster works. Everything's working here. So what's going on when we load the page? Let's refresh and see if they're still there. Okay, we're going to refresh again. Yes, they are. Notice that they are hyperlinks to the code in the console, and it gives us an approximate line number as to where the issue arises. So that's saying right here, toaster.js line 20. All right, let's use a tool the browser gives us to troubleshoot this one. Click left on the line number. Okay, so we're going to open this up, and we can see there's something going on here, right? So let's click the line number right here, and we're going to get a little flag that pops up. Okay, we get the flag that will cause the JavaScript to stop at that point when it loads on a refresh. So now refresh the browser again. So there we go. We see we got something going on here, and it said value of undefined. So we can already see what that means, but let's just refresh, and we stop right on our little ticker, and we can hover over things so we can see what's the list. Okay, so the list index is 0. That's odd, huh? Order is undefined. It's already telling us that one. And then when we come in here, order is undefined. You can't call a property on undefined. And undefined just means there's nothing there to call on. So it's saying I'm having a problem calling value because order is undefined. And we can see from our troubleshooting ticker right here, wow, so where does order come in? Let's see, it comes in through list. So let's scroll up and say, well, what's list? Well, list, there's nothing, it's a blank list, nothing's happening here. Okay, so we get the flag, and notice that the line is highlighted, so we did see that, and note that we can now hover over different sections. We did show that one, at least above, and stop and see what the actual values were. You can see that we can do this at any time that we want. So we can see that there are lots of undefines. This is because we are calling the toaster toast method in our load function. So if you recall, we changed the toast method from console logging the toaster ID to actually sending the value of this .setting input to our toaster. So let's kind of go back over there and just revisit what we did there. We went down here and we said, it was right here on the toast, right? So this process, this setting. So we changed the toast method right from the console logging, that's where we did it, to actually sending the value of this setting input to our toaster. So there it is, that's what we're trying to send. The issue is that the toaster connected callback does not run until attached to the DOM. So we're running into a timing issue here. And if we go back, remember the connected callback, that was a method that we had to apply to our extended HTML. So it asked for this, and this runs exactly what it's saying when it runs. This means that there is no toaster until the line in our load function where we append the toasters. So that means, let's just go back over here. So there is no DOM element until they get appended. So we're making them, then we're saying, hey, let's call the toasties, and it's trying to grab, which is fine, we can run that method, but it's not appended yet. So this setting, so we're looking for this setting, which is an actual HTML, it's not there anymore, but we need to put it there so that we can call this setting to even get a value from it. So nothing's there until this happens. So this is the issue, it's a timing issue that's coming in. So this means that there is no toaster until the load function where we append the toasters. Okay, we've said that one. Let's change our load function a bit. Okay, so let's go here and say, all right, well, we got to get them, and then we got to append them, and then we have to call this. So go ahead and take, it may be line 24 for you, but it's toasters for each. We're just going to get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of all the spaces, and right below here I'm going to add another space and paste it. So now we have toasters for each toaster toast. Now they know what they're doing. So there's a little bit of timing issue of moving how things are done, because we need things to be part of the DOM before we can query them. So go ahead and let's save our change to this file, just one change. Okay, so let's go back over here, and we're going to leave the ticker here, and we're just going to go ahead and refresh. All right, and let's see what happens. We have, you can see order now is an actual DOM element. You can see it, it's highlighted when I hover. So watch right here, and I'm hovering over it. You can see it says input setting. Yes, we have an order now. There is a way to get, and then there's our heater base time, and there's our order settings, input setting, accept, all these different things. Well, that's great. That's exactly what we wanted to do. So use the stop flag to troubleshoot your code often. You can set many flags and then use the play button to skip over them to move through your code piece by piece. And what that means is, let's just open this up a little bit more. Ooh, did I lost my, there it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. Actually, let's just step over it, and we can move through line by line to see where our breaks are happening. This is a super powerful way of troubleshooting code, and you can see what are things supposed to be. So now we're coming down here. It's just running that, and then we run through each iteration of the for loop that's up here. That's why it's repeating, and you can see different things going on. So there's our start timer value, set timeout, all these different things going on. And to disable this, let's see, now click on Let's see, we see that all toasters work as they are each called at the end of the load method. Now click each one and see them work independently. It's not going to let me do it, so we're going to take this one off. And once the flag is gone, we can hit refresh and we get our normal browser. Okay, now we have working independent toasters. So let's go back to the Code.js file and work on sending in orders. Okay, we are at our Code.js file, and we're just gonna, let's say, get this into focus here. So let's delete the last line of code in the load function that we just moved, as we don't need that anymore. So let's go ahead, it's just saying to take out this entire line. And now we have to replace our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 array with the orders array. Now remember, when we build out each toaster, we cannot call any method on a toaster until they exist in the DOM. That's that line we just moved and now deleted. So we have to go in here and say, okay, we need to say, let's move this out. We're going to move the output. I'm just going to move it up. Okay, so we have our output, and then what do we have to do here? Well, we have to iterate over our orders array. So if you remember, here we go, we have orders. So let's go ahead and just so we can look at both, I'm going to say we don't need a const anymore. So what we have to do is orders, and then orders is an array, so we can run a for each on this. And what's it going to be? Orders is going to be, we're just going to call it order, and we're going to say just like that, right? We do the arrow, and I'm going to do a new line, curly braces, new line. So just get used to doing that pattern, and for most of the time, unless you're doing an inline arrow function, which we are not here. So now we have to move a few things around. So we need 28, so let's grab line 28. And I don't need the return statement, so we just need, we're going to say const toaster equals is going to be our document.createElement toaster-nator. And then we need our output here, and we're going to append toaster, and then we're just going to call toaster.toast. Now I'm just going to get rid of these lines down here. Remember, we were appending all the toasters here, and we were running through the entire array. So you see the difference is we're coming down here and we're just grabbing the output as we need the output on load, and then we're running through the orders. And the orders create the DOM element and then attach the element and then toast, just like we were doing before, but instead of creating all of them and not appending them, and then we append them all together here, we're going to run through each order and do it. So just go ahead and we're going to delete these lines. And so all your load function should have now is load, output, and okay, there we go. So we have toaster document. We're not using the order yet. So the only thing we've really done is instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to say however many orders we have, which is 1, 2, 3. And that's fine. We're building as we're going here, piece by piece. So let's save our work and load the view HTML file in the browser. So there we go. We got one unsaved file. Command S or Control S, or you can go up there again and save your work. We're going to scroll back over to our browser. I'm going to shrink that up a little bit. We don't need this going, and I don't need source. We'll just go to console, my favorite one, and we'll hit refresh. And we got 3 toasters, as expected this time. We don't have 5 toasters because our new array only has 3. Great, we can still see our toasters loading, but now based on the orders array. So we have a static array of orders coming in that quickly get loaded into a toaster. One order per toaster. It's not very real world. So imagine now, though, that we have an army of toasters at our fingertips. Let's imagine that due to cost, we don't want one toaster per order, as spinning up too many toasters costs money. How many orders can one toaster process before we need another one to divide the orders to complete within an established amount of time? This is real world problems we're solving here. Think of all the people that need toasters. So how could we build an order system that creates random groups of orders to process? In the next video, we'll begin our journey to build an order system that generates orders randomly. We'll use that system to trigger toasters to spin up and process those orders, then retire when complete. So nice work, everyone. We've come so far from our cute little browser toaster. Next, we build a giant. If you enjoyed this video, click like and then subscribe buttons to get notifications of new content. Thank you for exploring programming with me, and I'll see you in the next video.